Welcome back to On Texas Basketball. I'm Jeff Howe, joined as always by Gerry Hamilton. And Gerry, for all the stuff that gets talked about the state of college athletics and the state of college basketball, it doesn't get better when the calendar flips to March. We're in March, and the Longhorns are coming off of a really big win. Gerry, it's my favorite win of the year, not just because I was there or the road environment or the opponent, but Gerry, they had every excuse to fold and live to fight another day, but they kept after it, and everybody that saw the floor on Saturday in College Station in that 76-70 win over Texas A&M contributed to the win. Just a tremendous team performance that has Texas now in a really good spot as far as the NCAA tournament goes.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these new bracketologies have come out. Andy Katz has Texas ranked 27 in his power rankings. They're 29 in KenPom. That was a huge win for Texas. That was a quad one win on the road. That's their third in SEC play. Texas now has 6 quad one wins. And with 9 wins in the SEC and 6 quad one wins, I think if they lost the next 2, they're still in the playing game. But obviously, you have at Arkansas, which we're going to talk about, and then Oklahoma at home Saturday on senior night. You want to win that Oklahoma game badly, right? And get the 10 SEC wins, Jeff, because you get a bye. As you said before we started the show, you get a bye in the SEC tournament, which is huge. But I think that was a great win for Texas. And the reason I think this was a great win for Texas, it's the rival A&M, and that was a bubble game. I mean, that was not a good loss for A&M, the way they had been trending the second half of SEC play. But it's because Dalen Swain only scored 11, and Texas has been so dependent on him and Matas to combine for 34, 35 in most SEC games. Yeah, and when Dalen only has 11, and he played really well outside of that for being in foul trouble, took his aggressiveness away. But Tremont Mark had 23, and Jordan Pope had 17. They combined for 40 on the road in the SEC. That is a heavy lift for Mark and Jordan Pope, as good of players as they actually are. That was huge for those guys to come up and be the difference in that game when Matas was saddled with early foul trouble and Dalen Swain the same. By the way, Jeff, you ever seen a foul on a jump ball before?
That's a first. That's like that's the old Puna Ford defensive holding on a run play. That's a first.
Sean did a good job not getting teched up, because I probably would have got a T on that one.
Yeah, he was close, like real close. Like I was almost for certain A&M was going to be shooting technical foul free throws. We haven't had a ton of opportunity, Gerry, this season to talk about Nick Cody, but Modest gets in foul trouble. Lucina Traore is out with the knee. You need Nick Cody to play serious, big-time, high-leverage moments 63 seconds into this game. He has 3 blocks in the first half, goes toe-to-toe with Rashawn Agee and Jamie Vincent. Gerry, that's a sneaky X factor in this win, was what Nick Cody gave them defensively.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, that's what you need. I mean, guys have to understand roles, and then what can you do to really help a team win? And look, Nick Cody missed a couple of Sean Miller referenced it in his postgame. He had a couple of jump hooks that weren't bad shots. They just didn't go in, but he impacted the game defensively. And sometimes shots aren't going to go in, but there's other ways to impact the game. And that's Nick Cody's growth, because at game 7, if he'd been asked to do that, I don't think he comes through like that for Texas. I think that's been his growth as a player, and he is really he's making the most of the opportunities has with Lucina injured. And look, I don't think we're going to see Lucina again, maybe for the season. I don't think he's getting better. So I think that Nick Cody's going to have a key role on this team down the stretch. And I want to say this for the people that say, oh, Gerry's reporting that Lucina is out for the year. I'm saying I don't think so, but things can change.
Yeah, it's gone from day to day to just being kind of in question the whole way. And Gerry, when you look at this team over the long run, look, in the NCAA tournament, if Modest gets in foul trouble or Swain gets in foul trouble, they're really going to be up against it. Yeah. But to go into the last week of the regular season, to have a chance to get to 10 SEC wins in the regular season, with given everything this team went through and how bleak it looked when they came off the loss of Mississippi State and one of their worst performances of the season in Knoxville against Tennessee. Gerry, this is a hell of a coaching job by Sean Miller in year 1 to get Texas potentially where you can, like you said, maybe get a bye in the SEC tournament, get into the field of 68 without having to go through Dayton. That's a really good year 1 for Sean Miller.
It is, especially considering, how some of those losses early in the season. I mean, you go back to Arizona State, the missed free throws. Swain's grown from that. He's maybe a first-team All-SEC guy and now mocked in the first round of drafts. He's grown. That Mississippi State loss, those horrible fouls on Hubbard shooting threes in that game. And then the 2 fouls late on Swain, how they lost some of those games early in the season. Now I'm talking about losing to Duke in Sean Miller's first game or at UConn. They're number 1 seeds, right? But some of those other games, how they happened, especially Arizona State and especially Mississippi State. Those two are really tough losses. And that Mississippi State, when I wondered, Jeff, we've said on the show, I've said on ontexasfootball.com throughout the season, I wondered if that loss would come back to haunt Texas. Well, they've taken themselves out of that position now. They got to go get one more this week, obviously, but they have done a great job. Sean Miller's done a great job of maximizing what this team has. And I know everybody says, well, Texas got to get better on defense. Well, yes, but I think he's done a pretty good job maximizing what this team's strengths are. The strength of this team is offensive basketball. That's the strength of this group, and that's the strength of this roster in year one. So if you don't maximize that part of it, you're not sitting here at 9-7 right now. You're sitting there fighting the uphill battle and saying, we're going to slow the game down. We got to try to be the best defensive team we can be. And you're staring up at 5-11 right now. So he took what this roster's maximization could be, and he's done that. Texas is a top 15 scoring offense amongst high major teams in college basketball in year one. And I think when people looked at this roster before the season, they said, I don't see that. So yeah, he's done a great job. He pushes the right buttons with the players. He knows how to motivate them. He's a strong communicator. He is a tough love coach. Everything he says in press conferences, people laugh at it, we'll foul the ever living out of you. But it's something he told them before. He's not a guy that comes to the podium and starts taking shots and throwing his players under the bus. These guys are hearing it before he goes to the mic. But I think he's done a really good job. I think he's an elite coach in college basketball. 4 Elite Eights and 8 Sweet 16s speak for itself. And I've said, Jeff, all along, NCAA tournament's not guaranteed in year one. People look at the Florida Gators right now. Todd Golden was 16-17 in year one. And half the Florida fan base thought it was a bad hire. Danny Hurley didn't make the tournament his first 2 years at UConn. They wanted him gone. And I'm not saying Sean Miller's going to Final Fours or winning national championships. Brad Underwood, Mick Cronin, Chris Beard at Ole Miss, Rick Pitino at St. John's. Those guys didn't make the tournament in year one in the portal era. And they're all really dang good coaches. And 3 or 4 of those guys are Hall of Fame coaches. So if Sean can finish this thing off and get Texas in the tournament and get past that, not having to play in that Dayton playing game, I'm really happy with year one. And you see guys improving. You've seen the team improve. You've seen individual players improve. You've seen them evaluate well. I mean, think about this. Because, boy, I'm on a soapbox now, Jeff. But think about this. Sean Miller had a decision to make between Dalen Swain and Ryan Conwell when he went from Xavier to Texas, because the NIL, he knew there was going to be a lot of money thrown at those guys. So you pretty much could bring one. And Ryan Conwell's a really good player at Louisville. He got a lot of money, and he may be a second-round pick. But Dalen Swain's now showing up in the first round of mock drafts. So that's evaluation. High school evaluation to college development and evaluation. Matas, he wasn't a big name when he came to Texas out of Florida Atlantic. He is going to be a second-round NBA draft pick after next season. Not this season, after next season. He is being mocked that way. You can see how much he's improving right now. He got 2 NBA guys out of the portal, even though one was his own, in his first year at Texas when everything is moving super fast. So he's evaluating, he's developing, and his players and team is getting better. That's all you could ask for.
Jerry, let's look at this week. And in the Arkansas game, you're in Fayetteville. Arkansas is really up against it. They need a win. Darius Aikens been banged up. They went through the Florida meat grinder over the weekend, as Texas did midweek. Everybody's having runs with Florida, bashing their heads in right now. But, Jerry, that's going to be tough to go to Fayetteville and get that W. So really, whether you get to 10, probably going to boil down to what should be Porter Moser's last regular season game as OU head coach, coming into Moody Center on Saturday for senior day. Last game at home for Jordan Pope, Tremont Mark, the rest of the guys that are on their way out. That's Jerry, that's kind of what March is all about. Your rival coming into your building on senior day, and you need this win to feel good about where you sit for the field of 68. Yeah,
I'm going to address the Arkansas game first, because I do want a couple of things with that. One, you wish Cal wasn't coming off his worst loss in history as a head coach. He didn't even realize that in the press conference. He's like, didn't I have some bad losses at UMass? They were all like, yeah, 30, 31. This is the worst, 34. So Okay, so he's going to be really pissed, right? So you have that in the Arkansas fan base. You think they hate Texas? Maybe more than anybody else, right? And its place is going to be wild. We know that. But so that's the negative. And that it's an easy game to motivate your players when they get embarrassed against Florida. Cal and Golden were going at it, right? There's a lot to that. So that's the easy motivation part, and Cal's the master motivator. But here's the reality, I think, for Arkansas, and I'm not predicting a Texas win. I think the Texas is going to be a 7.5 point dog in this game. Here's the one thing that's interesting, though, Jeff. We covered Texas when KD, DJ Augustine, and all those guys, Damian James, they were all freshmen. And they did hit a wall late in the season because they were playing heavy minutes. They were starting to have little nagging injuries, and they started to hit a little bit of a wall. And I'm not saying Arkansas is not going to a Final Four if Darius Acuff and those guys and Malik Thomas get going. But here's what I will say about Arkansas. Darius Acuff is nursing a less than 100% ankle. He's in a boot a lot of times. I'm not sure how much he's practicing. That Alabama game, when he played 50 minutes and scored 49 and they lost in double overtime, that took a lot out of him and these guys. Because Kevin Knox, who is a key player on that team, maybe their fifth most important player on that team, he's been out with a knee scope. He's missed the last 6 games. And what's happened in those games is Darius Acuff has gone from 35 minutes a game to 39 or 40 a game. Malik Thomas has gone from 29 minutes. The other freshman who will be a first rounder, Darius Acuff, will be a top 10 pick as a point guard and a future NBA All-Star, in my opinion. Those guys' minutes have increased. Everybody's minutes have increased. They're only playing 7 players in reality right now. They're trying to find some spot minutes for an 8th or when somebody gets in foul trouble, but they're playing 7 players. And 3 of those guys, Billy Richmond as well, and Trevon Brazile, who may be a late first round, early second round pick, they are more talented than Texas, but those guys have heavy minutes on them right now, and they're not playing well defensively. So what do they have in the tank? Are they going to be close to full capacity Wednesday? If this game was Tuesday, I'd put it on upset alert, honestly. But they do get that extra day to rest. I'm not saying Texas is going to win the game, but what I am saying is we've seen a lot of freshmen where freshmen carry teams, and that's what Acuff and Malik Thomas do. Those guys hit a wall a little bit. And with Acuff a little less than 100%, I'm not saying he's not going to go for 30 Wednesday. Trust me, I think the guy's a future NBA All-Star level player. But what I am saying is, dude, these are still freshmen. They're asked to guard ball screens on the other end of the court and then go handle the ball and be the lead guard and be the leading scorer and go win games for you. That's hard to do. I mean, that is hard to do, and at some point you do get tired. Malik Thomas, the same thing. He's having to guard really good players that can score as well as he can. Then he's got to come back and go move away from the ball for 28 minutes a game and work to get open to help his point guard out and play within a system that it wears on you. So what I am saying is Arkansas is the favorite in the game, but if they look a little tired, it wouldn't shock me because those guys are playing heavy minutes. And on Oklahoma, look, they're a better team than I think their record says, Jeff. They've come on this last part of SEC. Their guards can score it. They got off to a hot start against Texas in Norman. Texas will be ready to play that game. We know that. It's senior night. There's potentially a lot on the line if you lose to Arkansas because you don't talk about the NCAA tournament all year, but I guarantee you if Texas loses to Arkansas Wednesday, Sean Miller is going to tell these guys, look, we win this game. We don't have to worry about play-in games in the NCAA tournament. You get a bye in the SEC tournament too, by the way. We can rest up and be at full speed and be well-rested when we want to be as we keep getting better. I'm not worried about Texas being up for the game Saturday if they lose to Arkansas. But it's going to be interesting to see. And if they get the 10 wins, you just tip your cap to Sean Miller. I think if they get 10 SEC wins, he's had a hell of a year, honestly.
One other factor for the Arkansas game, Jared, Tremont Mark, the Aggie killer, Tremont Mark, going back to Fayetteville, former Razorback. So, and this is a veteran Texas team that's won some tough road games in conference. So never say never, but we'll see how it all plays out. Jerry, real quick before we get out of here, let's go to the Texas women. Their regular season is done. They're the 3 seed in the SEC tournament, so they get the double bye. The latest top 16 reveal came out on Sunday. Texas right now sitting at number 4, the number 4 overall national seed behind UConn, UCLA, and South Carolina, just ahead of Vanderbilt. Jerry, is it too easy to say, hey, a Texas Vanderbilt SEC semifinal matchup is probably going to be for that second number one overall seed for the SEC?
I like that. I like Texas matchup, even though these are neutral site games. I like the way Texas does match up with Tennessee. If Tennessee beats Alabama, Missouri, which they'd be favored to do, I do like Texas in that neutral. And then Vanderbilt, yeah, I like Vanderbilt. Those guards, that would be a rematch of Texas in the semis. And look, these are huge games. That becomes a huge game because Texas is, like you said, they're sitting on that 1 seed, 2 seed line right now. So I think they need to get to the conference championship game to secure a 1 seed. Depending on what else happens, we don't think UConn's going to lose, right? UCLA. I mean, you're looking at a South Carolina LSU matchup in the semis on the other side of the bracket, and a potential Texas Vanderbilt on the other side or one side of the bracket. Look, that is, if the chalk gets to the final, then Texas is not in the final. But if Texas can avenge that loss to Vanderbilt and get to the SEC championship game, I think they secure a number 1 seed. So it's a huge game potentially coming up.
And the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, Jerry, let's say Texas wins the SEC tournament. Maybe you get in the top 3, and maybe you get one of those top seeds in a Fort Worth Sweet 16 Elite 8 setup, which would be really nice for Vic Schaefer and company. All right, Jerry, thank you for the knowledge and expertise as always. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes for producing it. Just want to remind everybody, if you're not over at ontexasfootball.com, make sure you get over there, check out everything we've got on the website. Make sure that you like this video and that you're subscribed to the On Texas Football YouTube channel. That way, anytime we drop a video or go live, you're not missing any of our Longhorn coverage. For Jerry, for Matthew, for the entire On Texas Football staff, I'm Jeff Howe. Thank you so much for watching and listening. And until next time, hook 'em.